G'day, how's it going? It's been a long day and I'm glad to be home because I've got something I want to open up and show you guys. I won't mess around with packaging. Here it is right here. The new BlackMagic ATEM Mini. I'm going to open the box up and see what's in it. Cool. So, here it is, the ATEM Mini from BlackMagic Design. I've been waiting for this for a while, not just because they announced it a while ago, but because the features in it are sort of something that had to come eventually, and it's taken quite some time. And one of the great new features on it is that it takes 4 different cameras that can be different inputs, and it transcodes each channel on the fly, real time, without any latency, and it's just absolutely brilliant, and it outputs it to whatever you select. The other great thing about this is that it's a really simple small form factor thing. You can just pick it up and put it in a case with your cameras, take it around, you got a whole TV studio with you. And if you put a MacBook or something in with it in your bag, you can access all of the top-notch full ATEM features on the chipset in here through software. So just because it's not on the interface doesn't mean you can't use it. There is a huge amount of smarts in this thing, and I can't wait to start using it. Which is why I've got a nice sharp knife here. Now the box is fairly standard kind of box, as you might expect. I'll just quickly rip the plastic off because you don't want to hear that. Okay, so here's the box. I'm just going to open the lid up here. Wow, it's packed in nice and tight. Okay, this is what happens when machines pack boxes, is that geeks like me can't open them very easily. There we go, box open. As you'd expect with most things these days, you're confronted straight away with some rather nice pamphlet-y bits and pieces. Software installer. BlackMagic is committed to reducing waste and help the environment, so removing the SD card which previously had a user manual software on it. And then the top of here we have a very tiny power brick. Usual international power adapters. I'm going to use this one because it's the one that fits on my wall socket. Frankly, that's pretty much on there. Okay, I'm going to take this out. Here we go. And then underneath here we have the Mini ATEM. Wow, that's really tiny. Here it is. There you go. That's the Mini ATEM. It's got buttons on it. So there's your transitions, fade to black, cut, auto, different transition options that you can set. Another really awesome thing it's got on here is the picture-in-picture options. That's really great if you're doing this kind of YouTubey stuff, because then I could show you this on one screen and this picture here of me could go whoosh, flying up into the corner like it just did, and back. That's kind of it. So maybe I should hook a couple of cameras and a small monitor up to it and see what happens. Sound like a good idea? Rightio, let's set this thing up and make sure it all works like we expect it to. We've got the ATEM Mini here from BlackMagic, and on the back of it here, as I showed you before, we've got the power, the network, webcam out port, HDMI out, and 4 HDMI inputs and 2 microphone inputs. I'm not going to be using the microphone inputs today. Don't need to do that. I'm using the microphone off one of these cameras. So first thing I'm going to do is plug the thing in. I've got some power here somewhere. Here it is. Now the power for this has got this neat little screw-in socket here, so if you're installing it on a desk you can just screw that into the back there, put that in, screw that on, and it'll stay nice and solid. Oh, now when I plug that in, all of these lights came on. I love flashing lights. It's like Christmas every day. Right, now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to output everything here to the BlackMagic 4K video assist. So I'll grab my cable that goes into that. Here's that one there, it's the other end, and that goes into the HDMI out. And you can see that the output format by default is 1080 60p. You might not be able to see that. I will just bring you in here. There you go, 1080 60p. That's the default format because at the moment there aren't any cameras plugged into it. So once there's a camera plugged in, that there will change. Now it takes the output resolution from the first thing that's plugged into it. So the first camera I'm going to use is this one here, which is very similar. It's the baby brother to the one that I'm recording this on. In fact, it's the same as this one up here, that one. It's the same as that, and I'm just going to flip this open, turn it on, and here's the HDMI port just here, and I'll take this HDMI cable and plug it into the port. There you go. As you can see, it's all nice and running. And now what I should be able to do is plug the other end of that HDMI cable into port 1 here, and there we go. We have got a signal coming out of port 1. Look at that, just there. There you go. That's working perfectly. There's me looking at this camera, and there it is coming out down here. There you go. So that's the first camera. I just plugged it in and it's working. I like that kind of thing. Okay, so I'm going to go for another camera now. I've got this DSLR here. I've already got a an HDMI cable ready for that one. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to plug it into port 2. There you go. So now I've got two cameras plugged in here, and one's on port 1 and one's on port 2, and I can switch between them just by pushing the other button here. There you go, and you can see that switching 1 2 1 2 1 2. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to plug something else into here now. Here's a GoPro I prepared earlier, and I'll plug that one into there. There you go. There's your GoPro plugged in, all ready to go. Now I already selected on the GoPro for the HDMI output type to be clean. So there's clean and monitor, and there was another one, I can't remember what it was. There you go, there's no of the extra GoPro-y stuff up around the side of it or anything like that. Okie doke, so that's 3 cameras. Now for the 4th camera I'm going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to use the Mac Mini I've got sitting over here. I've already hooked up the output at the other end of this cable into the Mac Mini, so I can just put that in there, and then that gives me my 4th output. I've asked this to mirror screens, so you can see on this screen here I've got the Mac Mini over the side there. I'll bring that down again, so I've got the Mac Mini there, and then I can hit button 4 and there's my Mac Mini screen. 3 2 1, just like that. How's that for excellent? Just straight away plugged all these things in and it just works. What I'm going to do now is have a look at some of the transition functions. Now by default I've got this on cut. There's the transition stuff all over on this side. So if I go from 1 to 2, as you can see there, it's just a clean cut. If I go on auto here, I go mix, auto, and then hit 2, that one there should do a fade over 1 second. Oh, excellent. Fade, fade, and fade. Awesome. I can do that over 2 seconds as well. So a good slow fade or a half-second fade. Really quick. There you go. It's also got a dip, so it drops down to a color. Drops out to white in this case. I wonder if you can get it to dip to black or something like that. I'm going to have to look that up. And there's also some wipes here. So there's a hard wipe. There you go. And a top down fade, I think. Yeah, so these are wipes with an edge. Oh, that's a fold. That's neat. And that one there is a wipe with an edge. That's a wipe down with an edge. And that is a slide across. Hopefully these can go both ways and up and down as well. I don't know. The next button here is fade to black, which just you would fade out at the end of something and then hit it again and it fades back in. Now the picture in picture buttons let you choose which corner the embedded picture is in. It's not particularly complicated, so if I went to say my Mac screen there and I wanted this view here of me, or it's actually going to be this one down here, because this is the one plugged into HDMI 1, is the one that's going to be embedded in the picture in picture, so I can just push that on. There it is. Okay, the picture in picture, I've got to learn the exact sequencing of it and that sort of thing, and I can move that around and put it into the various corners. I'll just swipe down on that so we don't need to see the stop start record buttons on there. So there you go, the picture in picture effect is just a little bit in the corner. I'll put it up in the top corner of that one so you can see it, and drop it down to the bottom corner, other bottom corner, and up the top. So there you go, it works. I'm going to want to fiddle that a wee bit and see if I can get it to maybe change the size of it and all that sort of thing, but hey, for now it's cool, it functions. There's chroma keying in here as well. I can't show you that because I don't have a green screen behind me, and there's also the ability to load in a picture or an image or something, and set that in your background so I can have a black behind me or something like that. Or I can drop in a still frame. I don't have one loaded in here, so it's not doing it. But yeah, other than that, this thing is looking pretty clean to me. I'm loving what it's doing. Okay, the next step for me is to go and figure out how to use this for streaming. Well, know that basically all I need to do is hook it up with this USB-C to USB cable, which I have sitting right here. That there just plugs straight into there, and with that I can hook this up as a webcam to OBS and stream out from there, or open broadcast. There's a whole heap of different applications that you can use for streaming these days, and there you go. So this is the BlackMagic ATEM Mini. I think it's a great device. This is my first impressions. I hadn't set this up before. I just grabbed these cameras and a couple of cables, and hey, it all works, and the image of it looks really clean. It's better than any webcam that you can buy typically, so because you can use any cameras you want without any pain whatsoever and get them all up and running that quick. Anyway, I'm going to have a bit more of a play with it. I'm going to look at using this in OBS, which as you can see I've got opening up here, and once I've got all that up and running as well, I'm going to come back and make videos on green screening with it, and using it for actual live streaming, and yep, there's going to be a whole heap of stuff we need to do. Okay, so that's the ATEM Mini. If you want to see me doing more stuff like this, click on here or here to make sure you don't miss the videos that I'm going to put out on using this for green screening, live broadcast, and all sorts of bits and pieces. Subscribe here, click like, all that sort of thing. Leave comments and questions below. See you later.